Are you a Warlock main looking for a build that can help you and your friends get through the Grandmaster Nightfalls this season? Well, look no further, I gotcha. Now this is going to be a revamp build that I've already done here on the channel, but I just couldn't pass up remaking it because of these seasonal artifact perks. They just synergize very well with this build. Let's not waste any time and dive right into it. The exotic you're going to need is the Phoenix Protocol exotic chest piece, and its perk Battle Hearth. Kills and assists you make while standing in your Well of Radiance returns super energy. Yes, it's very basic, but the good thing is that you can get 50% of your super back very quickly, and once you get that first well rolling and you're with your teammates, you're creating orbs of power, you're switching off supers, you can get the Well of Radiance pretty much back to back to back. Now, I do want to cover the subclass before we talk about the artifact perks because there are some important things here. So first up, obviously super. We're going to want the Well of Radiance to synergize with the exotic, and it's just really good for survivability in general. For our abilities, go ahead and toss on the Healing Rift with whatever movement ability that you'd like. I personally like Celestial Fire so I can launch it, from a distance, so I'm not too close, especially in GMs. You can get shredded pretty easily, but if you want to go Incinerator Snap, definitely go for it. And then for the grenade, I'm rocking the Healing Grenade, especially with Touch of Flame. It's a really good way to have, at least bonus survivability for you and your teammates, because if you're in a situation where you need to get out of an engagement, you could toss it down, heal yourself, heal the teammates. But if you did want to use any other grenade on this list, something like the Solar Grenade, the Firebolt, or the Fusion Grenade is really good here for the double explosion, you totally can. For our other aspect, we're just going to be using Icarus Dash for the in-air dodge. Again, just allows us to get out of engagements a lot easier so we don't die. For our fragments, definitely put on Ember Combustion, so those final blows with your solar super cause targets to ignite and create a fire sprite. It is a +10 to strength. The cool thing with Well of Radiance is that if you're using a solar weapon in the well, it does proc this, so any kill you get with a solar weapon will cause an ignition. Fantastic. We're pairing that with Ember of Char, so your solar ignitions will spread Scorch around. It is a +10 to discipline. And again, as long as we can add on those Scorch stacks, it will cause ignitions, which can stun unstoppable champions, and we can make those happen faster with Ember of Ashes. So you apply more Scorch stacks to targets so we can have those ignitions a lot more often. Then lastly, there's one of two options. Number one, I like Ember of Eruption. So your solar ignitions have increased area of effect. It's a +10 to strength. So basically, those ignitions will be bigger, which means you can spread Scorch farther around, all that great jazz. But you could switch this one out for Ember of Wonder. So rapidly defeating multiple targets with a solar ignition generates an orb of power. This is a +10 to your resilience, but honestly, as long as you have Combustion, Char, and Ashes, you're pretty much set up. Now, we do have some pretty important artifact perks here. First up being Flint Striker. So rapid solar weapon precision hits and final blows grant Radiant. So after a couple headshots or a couple final blows, a couple headshots is probably more likely in GMs, but in any event, this is how we're going to become Radiant. This is how we're going to be able to pop anti-barrier champions and take advantage of a couple other things here under the artifact. First up being Kindling Trigger. So once you're Radiant, your solar weapons apply Scorch to unscorched targets. With Torch while you're Radiant, you deal increased weapon damage to combatants affected by Strand and Stasis debuff. So if anybody on your team is applying those things, you do basically increase weapon. It's literally just free weapon damage. Next, with Heart of the Flame, casting your solar super grants nearby allies Radiant. It increases the damage of your super for each nearby ally. I don't believe this applies to your weapons when you're inside the Well of Radiance, but having the free Radiant for your teammates is definitely something you want to take advantage of. With Revitalizing Blast, causing damage with a solar ability weakens champions and bosses for a short duration. This is a free weaken proc. With this, since there's going to be a lot of champions, and there's going to be, couple mini bosses throughout GMs this season in general, you definitely want to take advantage of this. And then lastly, with Raise of Precision, while you're Radiant, solar precision final blows cause combatants to ignite. This is a way we can cause ignitions without having to have the super, especially in the beginning of a GM when you're just trying to get the super. This is a really great way to add clear and also take advantage of stuff on the subclass. For the last few, I always recommend From Whence You Came, so you do increase ability damage to take in a scoring combatant. Wish into Being, so when your super is nearly fully charged, ability final blows spawn more orbs of power. And then I like Argent Ordnance if I'm going to be using a rocket launcher, so I can consume an armor charge. It does increase damage and stuff like that, but there's a couple that you can switch out here if you'd like. Now, I normally save weapon options till the end, but I found it very necessary to talk about the weapon options right after we talk about the subclass and the artifact, because there are a lot of bonuses that we could take advantage of with 3 exotic primary weapons for this build. A fan favorite this season that has come out of everyone's vault is the Polaris Lance. I really like this thing this season. Now, Sky Rifles don't have any champion mods, but you can still pop anti-barrier champions once you're Radiant with this thing. So, it's the perfect fifth. Precision hits, return ammo to the magazine. Landing 4 precision hits loads a delayed solar explosive round for your next shot. Now, I'm not sure if this scorches and potentially ignites targets, but I do know that the explosion from it can still pop anti-barrier champions. So that's kind of neat in and of itself. We also have Small Bore, Tac Mag, Zen Moment, and then Fitted Stock. And then it's Catalyst, so precision kills create an elemental damage explosion. It's pretty much Dragonfly, but the pretty cool thing here is that with being able to take advantage of all the precision type bonuses with the Polaris Lance, we can stand farther back so we're not taking as much damage from enemies, and also take advantage of the artifact perks. The big thing being Raise of Precision and Flint Striker. So with Flint Striker, we become Radiant after like 3 headshots, and then as long as we get kills on those targets, we can cause ignitions with the Scout Rifle, which is very easy to do and can spread all those things around with, you know, Ember of Char, Ember of Ashes, and Ember of Eruption. Basically, it's a free explosion Scout Rifle. The second weapon on this list is the Hierarchy of Needs exotic bow from the Spiral of the Watcher dungeon. This was actually the weapon that I used for my previous build because we had anti-barrier bow last season. We do have unstopped bow, but I wouldn't recommend it this season considering you have to hold it down for a very long time. But this bow is still very good and can take advantage of all the artifact perks with giving it, you know, explosions. Once you're Radiant, you can still pop anti-barrier champions with this. It's very good. So Guidance Ring, precision hits and final blows, build the Guidance Ring energy, and then at full charge, you hit fire it, it creates a Guidance Ring. We have Elastic String, Fiberglass Arrow Shaft, and then Apollonic Tangent. Arrows fired through the Guidance Ring release seeking projectiles, which do more damage based on distance travel. It can seek pretty freaking fast, and having that increased damage is fantastic. And then with the Catalyst, when you deploy a Guidance Ring or strike a target with a seeking projectile, it improves draw time and reload speed for a moderate duration, so it basically allows you to fire it even faster. So once you get that first Guidance Ring, as long as you're hitting headshots through the Guidance Ring, you can charge up another Guidance Ring back to back, so you can pretty much have this thing spamming the entire time and allowing it to also take advantage of all the stuff on the artifact, causing free ignitions. It's very hard to pass up this bow. The last exotic I'd recommend is the Sunshot hand cannon. This thing is fantastic, especially with the buff that happened a couple patches ago. It just makes this thing fantastic. Plus, we get Unstop hand cannon this season, so if you want that free Unstop proc, this can do it. So its perks: Sunburn, this weapon fires explosive rounds and highlights targets that take damage from Sunshot. We also have Chamber Compensator, Accurized rounds, Sunblast, so targets killed with Sunshot explode in solar energy. We also have Textured Grip, and then it's Catalyst, which just gives us a boost to range and stability. The main thing here is number one, Sunblast. It allows us to clear out rooms very easily, but also if you get rapid kills, you become Radiant. You can cause those ignitions with Raise of Precision. Again, this weapon is really good for ad clear. You can't really fire it from far away like you can the Hierarchy of Needs and Polaris Lance, but it is still a very good option this season. For your special and heavy weapons, you know, I would recommend a fusion rifle here. The Scatter Sigil with Slice this season is fantastic. You can apply that strand debuff. You know, if you have Deliverance with Chill Clip, that could work very well as well. If you want to do double primary, that's fine. For your heavy, just rock your favorite solar heavy weapon. Again, I have this crafted Apex Predator, Recon Bait and Switch. I have this Avalanche that I got, rewind rounds and target lock, and then also Cataclysmic, 4 times the charm, bait and switch. Great linear fusion. Basically, rock your favorite solar heavy weapon. Now let's talk about my armor mods, starting with the helmet. First up, I'm using Harmonic Siphon, and then Font of Wisdom. Mainly, when I have an armor charge, I get a plus 30 to my intellect. My intellect's already 70, so once I have one armor charge, I can have my intellect pretty much maxed out without having to use other, you know, general armor mods to get that up. So again, with any of these blue mods, gives your armor charge that 10-second timer. Every time you collect an orb power, that's an armor charge. We could have 3 armor charges, so that means we can have 30 seconds of this bonus, but there is a way to extend it on the class item, which I'll talk about later. And then lastly, I like heavy ammo finder, so I can have more heavy ammo. On my gauntlets here, I like double impact induction and focusing strike, so when I deal damage with my melee, I get a reduction to my grenade and my class ability cooldown. But if you did want to replace one of these with something like Harmonic Loader, we can increase our reload speed for any of our solar weapons across the board. You can do that as well. On the chest piece, you can rock whatever combination of reserve and resistance mods that you like, but I would recommend at least 1 harmonic reserves so you can have some more ammo for your heavy weapon. On my boots, I'm rocking recuperation, so whenever I pick up an orb of power, it gives me health back. Then I like double solar weapon surge, so my solar weapons gain a small bonus to damage while I have any armor charge. Again, my armor charge is going to decay over time regardless with this, so I can take advantage of having this bonus weapon damage for 30 seconds with 3 armor charges on top of, you know, Font of Wisdom on the helmet. And lastly on the class item, I'm using double bomber, so when I use my healing rift, I get a reduction to my grenade cooldown, and then time dilation. Your decaying armor charge has a longer duration, so that 10 seconds that I mentioned actually gets bumped up to 15 seconds, so we're going to have that 45 seconds of bonus weapon damage and a boost to my intellect. For stats to focus on, definitely go for resilience first. You know, tier 10 100 resilience, 30% damage reduction in PvE, especially those Grandmaster and Nightfalls. You definitely want to take advantage of that. I would look into intellect because that is tied to how fast we can get that super back, and we definitely want to have the Well of Radiance back as quickly as possible so we can basically spawn it back to back. Again, like I said, I have 70 here, but with Font of Wisdom, once I have an armor charge, it's 100. And then I like Discipline so I can focus on having that healing grenade up a lot just in case I need to use it on myself or my teammates. Now, if you got through all that and you're still a little confused about how this build works, I'm going to break it down for you. But honestly, once you get your Well of Radiance, it's over. Now, the main thing with this build is just getting the Well of Radiance super, right? Especially when you're starting off in that GM, you need that Well of Radiance. You have to work your way up to it, but once you get the first one, you can kind of get the next ones pretty easily as long as you're getting kills. Like, if there's a lot of ad density, you can get your Well of Radiance back to back to back very easily with this build. But if for some reason you use your well in counter ends or something like that and you're only like halfway, again, you are going to have to take your time a little bit more. But majority of the time, as long as you plant it in the right place, you know, look up a GM guide or something like that, you can definitely figure out the best way to take advantage of the Well of Radiance. Now, the good news is that you're going to be very destructive with the Well of Radiance and without the Well of Radiance before you're even trying to get it, especially with Polaris Lance. Oh my goodness. As long as you get a couple of headshots, number one, Flint Striker kicks in, which means you're Radiant. Every headshot that you get refunds the ammo to the magazine, and on the 5th shot, it fires that solar explosive. So not only are you Radiant, you're already firing solar explosives off, you're causing Scorch with Kindling Trigger to targets that are unscorched, and then with Raised Precision, as long as you get a precision kill, it's a scout rifle, so you definitely want to be able to do that. You're causing ignitions, which, again, any ignition you cause spreads Scorch around with Char, which means you get more Scorch stacks with Ember of Ashes, which means you can cause more ignitions, and the ignitions that you do cause with Ember of Eruption have an increased area of effect. So wiping out ads after a couple of headshots is definitely in range with this build. Plus, once you get that Well of Radiance, Ember Combustion's kicking in, so whether you get that headshot or not, you're going to be igniting targets, taking advantage of Char, Ashes, and Eruption, plus a couple things on the artifact as well with Heart of the Flame with your teammates. I will admit, the thing that this build does really well is that you have great survivability on top of being destructive in the highest in-game PvE activity with just a primary weapon. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is my updated Season of the Wish Phoenix Protocol Warlock build. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm actually going to put the dim link for this build in the description, so if you want to copy everything that I'm using down to the subclass, the armor mods, you know, the weapons, the drip if you'd like. Some people are asking me about shaders and ornaments and stuff like that, so I'm definitely going to be including those in that dim link. You know, test out for yourself. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is there a weapon you like using? Is there something on the subclass that you like? Something on the armor mods? You know, I'm testing stuff out in this game all the time. Build crafting is meant to be played around with, and there's a couple things you can definitely switch out in this build. In any event, if what you saw was valuable or entertaining to you, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and then turn on the bell next to notifications so you don't miss out on another build video here on the channel. If you didn't know, we live stream on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok simultaneously across the board, so if you want to tune into a live stream, again, we will be live 3 days a week in the evening starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. We are mainly going to be playing Destiny 2. Again, we are doing dungeon carries, Warlord's Ruin dungeon carry, so if you need help with it, we can definitely get you in the queue. But we're also going to be playing other games, and if you want to be proactive, join my Discord, because that's where we're going to be chatting, and we also have people looking to play Destiny 2 together, and we're also talking about other games, PC tech, anime, and more. And lastly, if you want to support the channel even more, you can look into becoming a member. If you don't know what a membership is, it's essentially like a Twitch subscription, but it is cheaper, and the main benefit with it is you get access to all of my videos early as a member, no matter what tier you are. But there are some other benefits in there that I would recommend checking out. And if you would like more information, all you have to do is press the join button, next subscribe, and I'll give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.